Hey friends, Patrick here. Want to try something a little different this month? Less data dump and more real talk. Because honestly, I think you can find market statistics just about anywhere right now. So what I'd rather give you is my genuine read on what's happening and what it might mean for you specifically. So here's where we stand. The market held up better than I expected. Back in April, I told you I was seeing some buyer hesitation, a handful of folks in conversations who were pausing, reconsidering, waiting to see what summer would bring. I flagged it as something to watch. And while May's data pushed back on that a little, pending sales were up 6.1% from the year before. Days on market dropped again down to 57, lowest we've seen all year. Prices moved up too, with the average just over 637,000. What that tells me is that the underlying demand in this market is more durable than the headlines about rates and uncertainty might suggest. People who needed to move, still moving. Serious buyers are still buying. And the homes that were ready did well. So something worth noticing about that supply, new listings dropped 11% compared to May of last year. And that's a really meaningful pullback in supply. And it's part of why the market has stayed as active as it did, even with that buyer hesitation in the mix. We came into spring with more than 4 months of inventory back in January, watched it tightened up in March and April, and now in May, sitting at just over 3 months of inventory with fewer new listings coming on. Less supply, steady demand equals a market that keeps moving. For buyers, that's worth understanding. The relief of having more choices that early spring brought is starting to narrow a little bit. Best homes are still moving quickly. So if you've been thinking about buying, you're still on the fence, I want you to hear this. Hesitation you feel is real, and it is valid. Rates are not where any of us would want them to be. The world feels uncertain, gas is expensive, that is all true. But here's what I also know from my years of doing this. People who look back and wish they'd bought sooner are almost never the ones who move during uncertainty. They're the ones who waited for certainty that never quite arrived. I'm not saying jump in blindly. I am saying come have a conversation so we can look at your numbers together. And if you've been thinking about selling, wondering whether you missed the spring window, the honest answer is you did not miss it. May was strong. Data suggests that June could be too, but waiting much longer to list a home in the hopes that the market will be better, that is usually a longer wait than people expect. The number one thing I keep coming back to though, 57 days on market. That's the average, which means there's a meaningful number of homes that are selling faster than that. When a home's priced right, shows well, and is marketed properly, this market is still rewarding it. That has been true every month this spring, and May was no exception. The homes that are sitting are not sitting because the market's bad. They're sitting because something about the price or the presentation is just not clicking with buyers. And that is a solvable problem if you're willing to have the honest conversation about it. And that's what we do. We bring the honest conversation, market knowledge, and yes, probably some coffee. I'm Patrik with Piece of PDX. Thanks for watching, and we will see you out there.